Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. I am your host, Michael Holmes Jr. Religion is something that someone can believe in and gives them a purpose in life. Religious beliefs create a guide that individuals can follow to stay focused in life. Religion allows individuals to reflect on what matters the most in their life. A person needs to feel wanted and needed in life. Having a religious and spiritual life makes everything feel balanced around you. In life, there is something that will stop us in our tracks, such as a traumatic experience. For example, the loss of a loved one, a serious illness, or a natural disasters. When you think of the word religion, what comes to mind? Well, religion involves different things such as cultural beliefs, worldviews, prophecies, revelations, and morals. Each phrase or word that describes religion stands alone. All of them are important in their own way. Religious beliefs can offer someone different things to follow. For example, sermons, rituals, prayers, meditation, symbols, trances, and feasts. With religious beliefs, these forms means a lot to individuals and are cherished very deeply. There is spiritual music to get individuals in the mood to worship. The harmony that gospel music brings is very uplifting for people. It brings you in the presence of the Lord. Spiritual music gives you joy and peace. Spiritual music is like food to your soul. For example, spiritual music offers an eternal connection to ourselves, inspiration for future goals, and a happy feeling throughout your body. Spiritual music tells a story about life difficulties that everyone can relate to. The music experience may have changed from every generation, but the concept hasn't, which makes it very powerful around the world. Music has multiple benefits that can be helpful for your health. Listening to music can help with your mood overall. For example, anxiety that you may be dealing with, reduces stress, mental alertness, and memory. The music artists who create spiritual music comes from all walks of life with different purpose to inspire others. Musical artists have their own way to connect to listeners and different groups of people. Some gospel artists that are known today are Kirk Franklin, Maverick City Music, Hezekiah Walker, Fred Hammond, Talma Main, Donnie McClurkin, Shirley Caesar, Marvin Sapp, Wesley Moore, and Mary Mary. All these artists are very unique. When it comes to religion, there are multiple to choose from. The main religions most people know are Catholic, Baptist, Jewish, Protestant, and Methodist. There is a church home for everyone, and you just have to search for it. The one religion that is widely known is Christianity. Christianity has over 2 billion followers in the world. The Christian faith focuses on the beliefs on the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Roman Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox churches, and the Protestant churches are the populated organizations known throughout generations. In this episode, I will be interviewing Father Maurice J. Nutt, who is an ordained priest. He will discuss his life as a priest, and his journey as a scholar in the Catholic Church. Father Maurice J. Nutt will also discuss two books, which are The Abodement, Faithful and Free, as well his latest work of art, Down Deep in My Soul, an African American Catholic theologic of preaching. The topic is spirituality and wisdom from Father Maurice J. Nutt. We will return after a message from our sponsor. Everyone is always planning things, and advertising is needed to make it happen. So, if it's personal or business, let Pinpoint Designs and Images solve that problem. With Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, you will receive quality work and professional service at a great price. The service that is offered: flyers, business cards, programs, invitations, photo books, ad booklets, and much more. Michael Holmes Jr., owner/principal designer of Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, contact me by email or social media. Email address is pinpointdesignsandImages@gmail.com, and Instagram Pinpoint Designs, and Facebook Pinpoint Designs and Images. We are back. Before the interview begins, I want to give you a little background on Father Maurice J. Nutt. Father Maurice was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and currently lives there. Father Maurice has been ordained as a Roman Catholic priest for 34 years and earned a doctorate in preaching from Aquinas Institute of Theology in St. Louis. He is the first African American to receive a Catholic doctorate in preaching, a Master of Theology degree from Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans, Louisiana, a Master's of Divine degree from Catholic Union in Chicago, Illinois, and a Bachelor's of Arts degree in philosophy with a minor in communication from Holy Redeemer College in Waterford, Wisconsin. Father Nutt was a professor at St. Louis University, Hampton University online instructor, Xavier University of Louisiana, and Catholic Theological Union. The courses Father Maurice taught are Black Religious Experience, Introduction to Christian Theology, Pentecostalism, Preaching and Evangelization, Black Preaching, Introduction to Liturgical Preaching, and Advancement Preaching. He served as director at Institute of Black Catholic Studies at Xavier of Louisiana in New Orleans from 2014 to 2017. He was inducted into the 2022 class of prestigious Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Board of Preaching at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Father Maurice is a proud life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Company. My guest is Father Maurice Nutt. Now, welcome to Consulting Between Friends podcast.
It's just a pleasure to be with you, Michael, and thank you so much. And it's always great to support young brothers, young African-American men who have ambitions to make communications so open to everyone to be able to discuss. So I'm honored to be on your show this evening.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're able to be a part of this podcast as well.
Great. So I'm looking forward to our discussion. There's a lot going on, not only in my life, but just in the church and in the world. So I look forward to engaging you in conversation.
Thank you. Me as well. So how was your day?
Pretty good. Busy day, and not to put you secondary, but I've had another podcast and another talking consultation on the needs of Black Catholics in America. So, it's been a fairly busy day.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
And I actually started the day off at our school, St. Alphonsus School. They're preparing for their LEAP exam, and so we had a LEAP prayer and prep rally to fire them up about academic achievement and doing well. So I'm also praying for them as they prepare to begin their testing this week.
Oh, that was good. I know the students enjoy seeing you at their school.
Yeah, it was wonderful. They had the marching band out, everything. I said, boy, I don't recall getting so excited about taking a standardized test, but they got them really fired up, and I was happy to be a part of that.
Well, that's nice to hear. Well, can you explain your background?
Yes, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I am one of four sons to my late parents, Hallard and Beatrice Nutt. My father was Baptist, my mother was Catholic, but my father agreed to have all of his sons raised in the Catholic faith. So we were all raised in the Catholic faith. Unfortunately, my dad died when I was only 3 years old, and so my mom was left to raise four boys pretty much on her own. But she was a woman of great faith and tenacity to just go against all odds, and she did very fine, if I should say so myself. All of my brothers did very well. So I'm the third of four. I am a Catholic priest. I'm a Redemptorist. Redemptorist order was founded by St. Alphonsus Liguori in Italy in 1732 for the direct purpose of evangelizing and preaching to bring people back to the church. So it's a preaching order, and I'm very, very honored to be a part of the Redemptorists. They were the pastors of my home parish, St. Alphonsus Liguori, the Rock Catholic Church in St. Louis, Missouri. And so from a very, very young age, I was enthralled by the work of these men. Not only were they known as preachers, but they were also social activists. And when I say that, that meant that we were called to preach to the poor and most abandoned. And preaching takes on other forms than just being in a pulpit. They were men of action, working for civil rights and social justice in our community. I recall very vividly one priest actually getting arrested for protesting because young Black youth were not getting summer jobs, So when I saw that, and I grew up, I was just a kid when Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and that deeply impacted me, and I wanted to do something as a Catholic to work for civil rights, to work for justice for my people. So that certainly influenced my vocation, Michael. I really wanted to be a priest, not only because of the liturgy and the preaching, but because of the active witness of Catholic Christians working for justice. So that had a big impact on my life. Went through high school seminary in Edgerton, Wisconsin, St. Joseph's Prep College, Holy Redeemer College for my college years. Went to Catholic Theological Union in Chicago for my graduate divinity degree, Xavier University in New Orleans, the Institute for Black Catholic Studies for my Master's of Theology. And then I got a doctorate in preaching from Aquinas Institute of Theology in St. Louis. So a long trajectory of education, all in preparation for serving God's people. I don't have degrees on my walls just for an ego trip. It's all because I was well prepared to serve God's people.
Oh, that's a nice story about your life. And I like how you basically mentioned how you got into the religion as well.
Yes, into religious life. That's true. As I said, my father passed away when I was 3, and one priest in particular, Father Joseph Campbell, was a surrogate dad for me. He was there to inspire. He would take me to the homes of different poor people as we would go to make sure they had groceries or things were taken care of in their lives. And I said, this is what living for Jesus is all about. This is what doing the work of Jesus is all about. I was very, very impressed and influenced by that, as you can tell, because I've been a priest for 34 years now. And this year I've been a redemptress for 40 years. I made my vows 40 years ago this year. So
Mm.
I know I don't look like it. I look so young, but I've been in this for a while.
Hmm. Well, that's nice to hear. Well, we're about to start the interview.
Great. I'm glad to be here for this interview. Um, some of the things that I'm looking forward to talking to you about is like some of the things that you were wondering, such as what motivates me to achieve any of my goals in life. What is my motivation?
Hmm.
I have actually on my desk a little sign that I know all those in listening audience cannot see it, but it
Hmm.
says, "Do it with passion or not at all." And,
Oh.
and when you ask me what really motivates me, it's the things that I'm passionate about. It's about especially justice against
Hmm.
racism, against any type of hatred or intolerance. I find myself very geared up about that to the
Hmm.
point wanting to always make sure that we live in a more just and humane society, that people will do what Jesus called us to do, to love one another, to treat one another right, to do justice for one another. And so, as you know, in these recent years in this world, we've seen the resurgence of racism and the overt hatred, the hate speech that has been
Hmm.
brought down by politicians and radical people who want to claim back their land, to say that America is theirs and they're the ones who's going to make America great again, which is code word for we wish that black people and others were not in this country. And so I rile up against that because I believe that part of being a prophetic preacher is to preach against racism in the
Hmm.
church, not
Hmm.
just on the street corners, but I believe as a Roman Catholic, I have a responsibility to condemn what is evil in our world. And that's one of the
Hmm.
things I'm very, very committed to, Michael. And so you will hear that. In fact, I know we're going to get into some of my current books, but I know I have another book that I help edit that's coming out this fall, and it's all about that preaching racial justice. And so
Hmm.
I look forward to your viewers to get that book later when it's out. Maybe you will invite me back just to talk specifically about that.
Yes, I can surely do that as well. Well, I'm about to start with the first question. Father Maurice Nutt, where were you in life when you received your spiritual calling?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was very young, and my calling came from the social activism that I saw. It was a sense that God had truly blessed my life. Michael, in many ways, you people may hear my story and say, "Oh, poor Maurice Nutt. You grew up without your father. He died of cancer when you were only 3, and your mother was left to raise you. You moved from a very middle class neighborhood to living in the projects." I never felt sorry for myself. I never felt like, that I was in some ways unfortunate by my economic status. I always felt, even as a child, Michael Holmes, you hear me?
Hmm.
I felt blessed as a child. So
Hmm.
it was kind of weird, to walk around just knowing I'm blessed by God, I'm loved by God. So naturally, when a young person feels that deep in their heart, there's a response that is needed. And my response was to love God back and by wanting to serve God in any way that God would have me do. So it was my calling was to the priesthood and to serve and live my life uh, for the service of others.
Oh, that's nice. So your calling, you received it as a young child, correct?
I was 7 years old when I knew I wanted to be a priest.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. What makes it so interesting, Michael?
That you figured out you like to be a priest and get into religious life at a young age. In other words, before you was 10 years old. That's why.
Right. And they say that 7 is the age of reason. So I guess at that age, I reasoned at an early age that because I felt so blessed, I wanted to serve God, and I wanted to serve God as a redemptorist priest. And um, that has stayed with me all my life, really. I can say that, yeah, there were other things you might want to ask. Well, what else have you thought? I thought, oh, perhaps I can be a lawyer. I love to speak, so that's no problem. I could be a lawyer, or perhaps I could be a public relations executive. I love people. But when you
Hmm.
think about it, what better can I do for anyone, especially myself, but to stand in the pulpit and defend the truth of the gospel every time I preach, and to be there when people, closeness with the people, closeness to when they're in pain, when they need understanding, when they need someone to listen to. So I'm a public relations executive because I'm with people in their most needy times, in their times of hurt, as well as their times of great joy.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. I like how you explain yourself. And also mentioning about you got into a young age, because I know some people might not get their calling until like an older age, correct?
Correct. It can happen at any time in life. It
Mhm.
just so happens with me, it happened at a very, very young age.
So since it happened to you at a young age, when do you actually went into, is it seminary school?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I went to high school seminary.
Hmm.
So I went to at age 13 when I started high school. Actually, I was 12 and I turned 13 in high school. Um, that's when I began the trajectory towards priesthood. There was a high school seminary that I went to. And so I've been through my whole educational training was in preparation to be a priest, as I mentioned, all the schools and my degrees that I earned.
Hmm. Okay. What have you learned that can assist someone who is interested in religious life?
I would to help someone to understand religious life, first of all, they would have to somehow feel drawn to it. It's something that you can't force on anyone or, just tell them you should do what I'm doing. But should anyone show an interest in this life, or if I see something that may be innately in them that would tell me that perhaps they would have a vocation to religious life, I would how I would assist them was first of all to ask them to pray about what God is calling them to. I would encourage them to get a spiritual director to talk to someone about their spiritual life. And then I would be there if they needed me to help them by telling them my experiences in life. Certainly, religious life, like any other ministry or calling or career that someone has, it has its ups and downs. I would never tell anyone that, oh, this is just perfect and that every day I'm happy and that there's so much joy in living my religious life. I'm very happy. I'm a joyful person by nature. But there are moments when, it can be lonely or you can be frustrated or you can be angry. You can be doubtful. Is this really what God is calling me to? So I would tell someone not to have a rosy picture of religious life, but to know that you're called to serve God, and it's through your constant prayer and communication with the one who called you that you will be sustained and be able to persevere in your vocation.
That makes a lot of sense because actually you have to believe in it first before you actually go further with it, correct?
I would say you have to be called by God by this. And the calling is you might ask, okay, you get a phone call, you get a text. No, it's a deep feeling within you that God is really calling you to do something with your life. And it happens at different stages. It was for me very young, just like the prophet Jeremiah when he says, Lord, I'm too young. And he says, wherever I will send you, you shall go. Whatever I put in you, you shall speak. So, I felt that way about myself. So mine is more of a Jeremiah call, but there'll be older people, say like Moses, when God called him in biblical times, he was he was more of an older guy, an established, married. God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, out of bondage. I would say God calls at different purposes and points in time. So,
Hmm.
um, it's hard to say when a calling happens. It's all uniquely to each and every one. So I wouldn't tell anyone there is a certain time to be called. But should someone ever talk to me about it and show interest, know that I would always be there to encourage them, support them any way I can.
Oh, that sounds good. Has somebody actually approached you before and to assist them?
Oh, certainly. I have been asked by a few people, and most of those, especially in the African American community, who have approached me and have even entered for whatever reasons did not persevere. So I don't force it on anyone, but I do say I'm here if you want to talk about it. If there's a way that I can encourage you, I'm more than welcome, happy to do that. I would welcome that. And I would extend that invitation if anybody listening to me, if you're ever interested or curious about religious life or priesthood, get in touch with Michael Holmes. He knows how to reach me, and I'll be glad to help you out.
Thank you for that shout out.
My pleasure.
I know you mentioned this earlier, but I want you to explain more in detail about this. What motivates you to achieve any of your goals in life?
I'm a driven person, and when I say driven, I'm purposely driven. Um, when I set a goal, I go for it. I seek to achieve it, and I think a lot of it is just innate in me because, if I knew what I was called to at 7 years old, there was some sense of direction in my life.
Hmm.
So it's just by knowing my purpose and being driven by that and pursuing any and everything I ever wanted to do. I feel that my life has been again truly blessed. The opportunities, the advantages that I've had in my life has been wonderful, and they're all been God centered. God, I think I praise God. I know God was the one
Hmm.
that allowed me to achieve everything I achieved. God has been there when I haven't always kept focused on what I'm supposed to be about and has sustained me and picked me up and dust me off and allowed me to start over again. So it's all in my relationship with God, Michael, that I find peace, I find hope, I find a lot of joy. So that's what my motivation is, and serving
Hmm.
people. Uh, I am a people person. I would say anyone even thinking about this life, if you don't like people, you're in the wrong profession. We're here to be there for people. If you want to
Hmm.
just stay locked up in your room, say your mass, and then go read or do whatever, that's not what priesthood is all about. That's not what religious life is all about. I feel motivated by just serving people and sharing in the joys and sorrows of their life, always being there. In my profession, you're there in good times and in bad, sickness and health.
Hmm.
You're there from the baptism to the funeral, so all the stages of human life, at least as a Catholic, the priest is usually present for. So I'm very, very blessed and honored and humbled to be in those moments of people's lives where they need me most.
Hmm. Oh, that sounds really good. Well, since you mentioned you have achievements, do you mind telling me some of them? You could just list some of
I don't feel comfortable listening. It's listing my achievements.
them.
I just know God is good, because it can come off as boastful.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I don't want to come off boastful, but I've been able to serve as a pastor. I've served as a spiritual director. I've been around the country preaching as a full-time preacher. I've been the academic administrator at a university. So all of those things. So if put them in a generic way, yes,
Hmm.
it's been different ways of serving God. But I don't want to sit here and bore your people with, oh, I served here in this year and I achieved this goal and got this award. And nah,
Hmm.
that's not even me. I don't even want to go there with your listeners. Just pray for me. I'm a sinner who got up and God allowed me to start all over again. That's who I am. that I
Well, I
witnessed to God.
well, I appreciate you saying that and also having a sense of humor as well with that question.
Well, it's true. I'm going to be 100 with you. I think what's most important is that God is the head of my life. It's not whatever I've done, I give him glory.
Mhm. Yes. Well, we're about to take this interview a little differently because you have written several books. So the next questions are going to be about a book.
Okay, sounds great.
How did you come up with the concept of the Thea Bowman book?
Sister Thea Bowman, servant of God, Thea Bowman. Um, well, the concept came up for me to write the book. The book is titled Thea Bowman, Faithful and Free. It was published in 2019 by Liturgical Press at Collegeville, Minnesota. They had reached out to me because Thea Bowman was my graduate theology professor at Xavier University at the Institute for Black Catholic Studies. During that time, she was more than a teacher. She later became a mentor, and she was certainly a spiritual mother to me because my mother had died in 1985, and I met Sister Thea Bowman the summer of 1984. So it was just serendipitous that I would go to the Institute and we would have this strong bond. So I'd written a book in 2009. It was actually called Thea Bowman in My Own Words. It was a compilation of her sayings, her speeches, her different sermons. So I took her words and I put them into a compiled compendium that I used to be published by Liguori Publications. um, Liturgical Press saw that book and they said, "Well, you seem to have written about her. You know about her. We would like you to write her biography, a popular biography." So, and it was so crazy, Michael, because when they asked me to
Mhm.
do this, I had never written a biography in my whole life, and I just
Mhm.
says, "Okay," without even thinking, "Okay." Uh, but I have to say, writing that book was an emotional roller coaster because um, it meant some research to thank God there was a definitive book. Her biography was written by one of her sisters and a dear friend. It's called Thea's Song, and it gave a lot of the history, her life story. It was very well footnoted. So it was a source as a goal for me, a guide rather for me to use that as I wrote my book. But I did personal interviews. I went to Canton, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. I did telephone interviews across the country to some of her friends. I did research through newspapers.com to see what people were saying about her and her life. For your listeners, let me just say Sister Thea Bowman was a Franciscan sister of perpetual adoration. She died at the age of 52 of breast cancer. She was a phenomenal teacher, preacher, evangelist, singer that really touched the life of the Catholic Church to the point
Mhm.
that she ushered into Black identity, Black worship, Black music and vesture and gesture and dance and drama and preaching and singing the songs of Zion in our own Catholic Church. Her understanding was that you didn't have to leave your blackness on the church doorstep when you
Mhm.
came to church, that God called you to come in as you are and bring your culture and the richness of your culture. She was so phenomenal that she was interviewed by Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes in
Mhm.
1987. She was so phenomenal and powerful that the U.S. bishops invited her to address them in 1989 to ask her to explain to them what it meant to be Black and Catholic. And she spoke the true truth to them and told them, this is what it means to be Black and Catholic. This is who we are. And this is your responsibility, your pastoral responsibility to shepherd us and to take care of us. She found out that she had cancer in 1984. And as I said, she died at the age of 52 in 1990. She's buried at Elmwood Cemetery in Memphis, Tennessee. In 2018, Bishop Joseph Kopass, the bishop of the Diocese of Jackson, Mississippi, invited me to begin doing research on her and to do the initial investigation. And I've already had written about her life, so I knew quite a bit, but to talk to the people of God and to say, is she really worthy to be a saint? In my mind, there's no question about it. Yes, she is. So that's how the concept came. To answer that first question you asked me, that's the concept of the book, Thea Bowman, Faithful and Free. What's exciting about it was that after I published it, as I said, I went through an emotional roller coaster because I cried a lot while I was writing. I mean, I was at my computer writing, memories would come up. I would hear her speaking to me. I write in that book that Thea and I wrestled because she wanted me to tell her story the way she wanted me to tell it. So while I was writing, spiritually, I could hear her say, you better write this or make sure you get this right. So she guided me spiritually through the writing of the book. And to my amazement, again, I had never written a biography before, but through the Catholic Press Association and the Catholic Publishers Association, I won both a third and a second prize in publishing. And that's national, that's almost internationally, I guess. So that was a great honor to be awarded those two awards for that book.
Oh, that was good. And also, it was a great honor that you had an opportunity to write her biography in the first place. They saw that since you met her while you was at Xavier, they saw that would be perfect for you to actually write her story, correct?
Yes, yes, and it was an honor. It was a labor of love and an honor to write a story. Sometimes, Michael, I have to almost pinch myself and can't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing. Because when I was her student, I was just her student. She was my teacher, and I loved her. She was a great mentor. I can't even say a friend because she was more of a spiritual mother to me than a friend. So I was in awe of her. And then if you would have told me back then when I was her student that I was just trying to write my master's thesis, she was my advisor. So she had saw my writing and had to guide me through that.
Mhm.
Little did I know that I would be writing her biography. Little did I know I'd be asked to write the spiritual biography for her to open up her cause of canonization that was sent to the Vatican in Rome. So I wrote the prayer that we now pray for intercession. Helped. I was associate director for her this wonderful documentary, Going Home Like a Shooting Star, Sister Thea Bowman's Road to Sainthood. It's just our journey to sainthood. It was just a phenomenal thing. So I'm very grateful for all those things. And I'm grateful for the role that she played in my life. She plays in my life today. And I would encourage your listeners, if you don't know much about her, to check out her website. It's www.sister, spelled out Sister, Thea, Thea, Bowman, BOWMAN.com, her full name.com. And check out her biography, check out her website. Learn more about this holy Black Catholic woman of God, soon to be a saint, hopefully.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I know she's scheduled to be a saint pretty soon. That's good
Oh,
information.
I can't say pretty soon. I say soon, meaning soon for the Catholic Church could mean years, but she's on the road. We believe one day she will be a saint.
Okay, well, since you mentioned that as well, for my listeners, can you explain what canonization is?
Yes, I'll be glad to say that. Canonization is a status on the road to sainthood. It's the ultimate goal. It takes first the opening of a cause. I guess I have to go backwards, Michael, if you don't mind.
Hmm
You're called once your cause is open. You are identified as servant of God, and that means that it has to be accepted by Rome that your cause will be open for your cause for canonization, and one day you will be a saint. The second stage is that you're considered a venerable. It means that theologians have gone through your writings, historians have looked at your biography, your life, witnesses have given testimony about your life. All of that is put in what we call a positio. It is submitted to the dicastery or the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. They review it. There's no discrepancies or no problems. They send it to the Holy Father, the Pope. He will then declare that person a venerable. What it means venerable would mean that that person is worthy of emulation. Person is worthy to follow their example because they've lived holy and virtuous lives. So that's what that means. It takes one miracle. When I say a miracle is scientifically unexplained, scientifically unexplained health instance or occurrence in your life. Someone who, and it's not medically explained. There's no medicine you can take. There's no chemo or there's no radiation, that somehow through that person's intercession, you were healed. You were cured by your prayers to a certain person. If that should happen and is proven by medical doctors and people at the Vatican, then that person is considered blessed. They're beatified. Another independent miracle after you're blessed has to happen. And should that happen, then your cause has been approved for canonization to become a saint. By the way, your beatification, that event will take place in the diocese you died in. So in Sister Thea Bowman's case, it would be in Tennessee, not in Tennessee, in Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi. She died in Canton. She was in Jackson, Mississippi diocese. So that's where the beatification would be. And when it comes to sainthood, the canonization will take place at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. And it costs quite a bit of money. That's the thing, because money has to be raised because you have to pay doctors, you have to pay all these people that are looking over her life. You have to pay the administrative fees of your postulator. That's kind of a lawyer or your defender who fights for your cause. Then you have to pay the congregation. So when I say quite a bit of money, it's anywhere between $2 and $5 million. So it's a lot of money. So unfortunately, and I think, well, Pope Francis has reduced it. It's a lot less than it used to be, but people get hung up about that money, and it's kind of unfortunate. So I would agree with that. That was a long explanation. I'm sorry for taking up so much time on that.
No. You explained it, and I'm glad you broke it down for my listeners, because I also learned something as well, because I did not know that myself.
Great. Glad to help you.
Thank you. Here's another question about the book, Thea Bowman.
Yes, I'm glad you asked me. What's another question you have about Thea Bowman and the book I wrote about her?
What do you want individuals to learn overall?
I think she has a lot to teach us. She teaches us about being who God made you to be your authentic self. She said, I like being Black. I have friends who are Spanish, or they're Italian, they're Polish, they're Italian. They're all different. I have all kinds of friends, but I love being Black. And so that's what I really think people, especially Black people, will find out. Her sense of self, she was grounded in her culture and her richness. But that did not preclude her from being a bridge. She says, I want to know about other cultures. She was able to bridge cultures so that there could be cultural awareness and racial reckoning and racial reconciliation between the races. She was also known to be someone who wanted everyone to use their gifts. She didn't believe that anyone was not without gifts. She would say, You have a gift. Bring your gift to the service of others. So she encouraged people to use their individual gifts. I would also say she taught us how to be really steadfast and immovable, to have your conviction, to know what you want to do and whatever you wanted to do to pursue that goal in your life. She was known for that. Most importantly, too, in her later years when she was suffering from cancer. She had cancer until she died from 1984 to 1990. And she says, I don't know what God is doing by this cancer I'm dealing with. She says, certainly I would pray that God would heal my body, but she said, but if God doesn't heal my body, I believe God will give me something better. And that something better for her is that God gave her the promise of heaven. And so during those years, Michael, she taught people how to live until we die and to keep on doing what we can until God calls us home. Some people get depressed. Some people will give up. Some people just say, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to sit here and die. Some people are just mad with God because they're sick. She didn't have any of that. She kept on singing. She kept on praying. She kept on preaching. She kept on traveling around the world, literally, until God says it's time. And when God said it was time, she just gave up her spirit and went home to be with the Lord. She said when her good friend, Father John, Father John Ford was to preach her funeral, and he says, well, Thea, what do you want me to say about you? She says, well, tell them what Sojourner Truth said when she died. She says, tell them this is what I want you to preach at my funeral. Say, I didn't die. I'm just going home like a shooting star. And so that was her whole thing, that she was going home like a shooting star. And what's so beautiful is that on her grave, there is a shooting star on her grave that shows her. And she also said that what did they ask, well, what do you want us, what's the epithet we want to put on your tombstone? She says, 2 words. Now, this woman had done great things, won so many awards, was well educated, had been on 60 Minutes. Harry Belafonte and Whoopi Goldberg wanted to do a biopic on her. Says, what do you want on your tombstone? And she simply said 2 words. She tried. She tried. So in other words, Michael Holmes, what my spiritual mother wanted everyone to learn from her, to answer your question, going back, is that we have to keep on trying. No matter what you are faced with, no matter what adversity, no matter what obstacles, keep on trying. And that's what I learned from her, and that was her message.
That's a really good message because that's what everybody needs to do in life is keep trying and not give up. But sometimes it's really difficult.
Yes, it is. It is. And so she inspires me to keep trying. When I want to throw in the towel, I just keep trying. When I fall down, when I make mistakes, when I sin, get yourself up and keep on trying.
Hmm. Well, the part of this interview is about to get ready. We're going to talk about your new current book because I know you have a new book that just came out, and I want you to discuss about the book. So this question is going to be about your new book, and we're going to go from there. Your current release book, Down Deep in My Soul, an African American Catholic Theology of Preaching. What was your main focus to explain preaching in the African American Catholic churches to individuals overall?
Yes, when I wrote the book, Down Deep in My Soul, an African American Catholic Theology of Preaching, I wrote that book because there had never, ever been, to this day, a look at preaching, Black preaching specifically, from a Roman Catholic perspective. That the preaching that I am called to do through my cultural heritage is known as the Black preaching style. And some would think that that preaching style is not welcome, nor is it appropriate for a Roman Catholic Mass. But we as Black Catholics, we as Black people, we are biblical people. We want the word. We want the word to be broke open and shared. We want a word that will inform, will inspire, will motivate, a word that we can celebrate the good news of the kerygma. Kerygma is Greek for good news. If the gospel means good news, we want to feel it. We want to experience it. We want to be moved both in our head and in our heart through the preaching of the Holy Word. I found that in the documents written by the Catholic Church, one being in 1982, the U.S. Catholic bishops wrote a document on the homily in the Sunday Assembly titled Fulfilled in Your Hearing. And it listed in that small pamphlet a lot about what it takes to be good preaching in the Catholic Church. And when I reviewed all of what they put down as tenets of good preaching, I said, they're just talking about Black preaching. Because I found that Black preaching encapsulated everything that they recommended. And so if you want good preaching in the Catholic Church, you look no further than to Black preaching, because it has everything that we are called to celebrate when we celebrate both the word and the sacrament, the liturgy of the word and the liturgy of the Eucharist. You know what I'm talking about, Michael Holmes.
Yes.
We
Yes,
have
I am.
both of those. And so many times we come into our Catholic churches and it's only the Eucharist that is really paramount, that is the true and real presence of Jesus. I believe that with my whole soul and my heart. But God is also present in the scriptures and in the breaking open of the word. We break open both word and the body of Christ to give to the body of Christ, to the people of God. And so I was inspired to write this book, one, because it has never been written, and I think it'll be very effective for teachers of preaching in both Catholic and Protestant seminaries to use it to help the seminarians to know how to better preach, to better evangelize, to build up the kingdom of God, to build up the Catholic Church. And as a part of this book, I also again talk about preaching on social issues, social justice issues. And also I talk about preaching about anti-racism, to anti-racism preaching, and how we have to confront those uncomfortable things, those uncomfortable subjects that really destroy the body of Christ, so that people can be encouraged, those who are oppressed by racism and those who are racist, so that they will be uncomfortable, that they will learn that they must convert from and atone from their sin of racism. That's what anti-racism preaching is about. So I have all those things in this book. It does a history of the Black Catholic Church. It talks about Black Catholic spirituality. It talks about evangelization. It even shows you how to craft a sermon in the Black preaching style for the Catholic Church. I even deal with Pope Francis's preaching and all that he teaches us throughout his 10-year reign as Pope of the Catholic Church. So it's a dynamic book. It was a pleasure to write it. It is called, again, Down Deep in My Soul, an African-American Catholic Theology of Preaching. It is for $26, and you can purchase it on Amazon or by my publisher at Orbis Books in Marino, New York.
I like how you said that. Well, since you did mention some stuff about the book, it's going to have some about social justice. So what are some social justice things that the Catholic Church should actually focus on as a preacher?
Well, let's talk about what the Catholic Church seems to be focused on. We know that it seems like we talk about social issues, it seems like the only one is about abortions. And yes, I am pro-life, but I'm pro-life from womb to the tomb. I find out that the Catholic Church needs to address the life of that child once that child is born, that it's given adequate housing, adequate education, that it's not given substandard living or educational disadvantages, that a life must be held sacred, as Pope Francis reminds us, from the very end of life. And so that means that if you want to be pro-life as a Catholic, you have to be against the death penalty. You should be against the disproportionate of Black and brown bodies in mass incarceration. That while we are a small Black and brown people, or a small percentage of America, although the Hispanic community is growing rapidly, um, we still are 80% of those who are in prison in our prison system. Catholic Church needs to talk about that. Catholic Church needs to also deal with all of the sense that our children who are not feeling like they are needed or wanted or have a place in society. They need to bring our young, especially our young Black youth, back into the church and not be so condemning of them. Not so harsh on them, but to say welcome them. That's why, young people don't want to hear them being put down. They want to be affirmed, and we need to affirm in the Catholic Church their dignity and their place and their presence in the church as well. So those are a few things, but again, racism is paramount because the Catholic Church has been historically complicit in racism, even though they have written many documents, 4 documents in America against racism. It's called practicing what you preach. You write about it, but until it is actively lived in your parishes, in your chancery, how many Black people have jobs in the chancery of notable worth and not just part of the cleaning staff? That's justice. That's what justice looks like. So I hope that answered a few of your questions about what social justice is about.
Yes, it did answer.
Maurice, you're younger than me. So what are some things that you feel that the church should be addressing in terms of social justice? Maybe something I didn't name.
Well, to let you know, I'm 41 years old right now, and I belong to St. Joseph Working Catholic Church. I do like the social justice part because really, if you look at it, stuff that's been going on the last few years, especially with George Floyd's situation, and then with the Black Lives Matter thing, I do believe the church should talk about that. Actually, I do believe all churches should because you can't escape from that at all. It's around you every single day now. And basically like that. So the racial stuff is good. And then also the way how people are treated together with race, sexually, and so on. The church should talk about it. I know it's a subject that some people might not don't want to talk about, but you have to feel like you should be able to in the church since people want to go there for some answers. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say yes. We're supposed to be a place where people should be able to freely bring their cares, their concerns, and they're looking for answers. And we need to have not just a pat answer, but we need to have something that is going to answer directly their anxious questioning about life and the injustices that abound.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that. And thank you for asking me a question as well.
Well, I'm a good interviewer, so I'm glad you have me on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm learning a lot from you as well. Okay, since you just have this book as well, and you did explain the stuff about the preaching in the church and so on, what have some things have you learned doing your research for the book overall?
Or a better question would be, was there anything in my research that surprised me? And one of the areas that I write about is lay preaching. In the Catholic Church, Canon Law number 767 defines that at the Eucharistic liturgy, only a bishop or a priest or a deacon can preach at Mass during the Eucharist. So technically, a woman or a non-ordained person should not be preaching. But there is exceptions on which lay people may be best to preach. And so it said, canon law says that will be determined by every different conference of Catholic bishops throughout the world. So it's just so happened that when that was determined, who would determine who would be the president at the time of the bishops of a Catholic Conference of Bishops in the United States, it so happened in 2001, the one who signed the norms of how we would allow lay people to preach in the Catholic Church was
Hmm.
actually now Partner Wilton Gregory. He was Bishop Wilton Gregory of the Diocese of Belleville when he was president of the USCCB, the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops. So what excites me about that, and I want you to look excited about it. You know why? Uh,
Yes.
it was a black man who was
Uh-huh.
the one who decided how lay people, the opportunities to give lay people an opportunity to preach in the Catholic Church during Mass on certain occasions. So I was very, in my research, I was like, wow, that's exciting. That fits right in that it was a black man. So that was one of the things I didn't know before I started researching.
Well, that's good. Well, since you mentioned the word lay people, for my listeners, do you mind giving the definition of lay people?
Lay people are those who are not ordained by the Catholic Church, that they are in a lay state, meaning that if you are not a priest, you're not a bishop or a deacon, you're not a cleric, you're laity. In fact, religious brothers and religious women are actually lay people as well, even though they're consecrated in religious life.
Okay. Well, since you also mentioned about this current book here, what you hope that people will learn from this book that you just released?
I will hope that they will learn a lot about the Catholic faith, that they will learn about Black Catholic faith in culture through my book. But I would think what it's primarily written for is those who are ministering in the Black Catholic community to help them preach and evangelize better. So
Hmm.
that's the focus of the books. So
Hmm.
it will be. I would say it's. I think it's interesting, if I should say so myself, for anybody, Catholic or non-Catholic, to read it. In fact, the professor of Howard University, who's one of my friends, and he's my Alpha Phi Alpha brother. He is um, the head professor of homiletics at Howard University School of Divinity. His name is Dr. Kenyatta Gilbert. And this is what he wrote on the book about the book Down Deep in My Soul, African American Catholic Theology of Preaching. I quote him: For ordained and lay homilists alike, Father Maurice J. Nutt has given the Roman Catholic Church and her Protestant siblings a pioneering must read. Here's a work whose time has come, and we who preach God's word can say enthusiastically, Hallelujah and Amen.
That's a nice cover. It's very colorful as well.
Thank you. If this is the cover of the book is a rendition of, his name is Bernard Hoyts. His name is Bernard Hoyts, and it is entitled Dancing for the Lord.
Oh,
And this picture, Michael, was
mhm.
actually on my office wall in my first pastorate in St. Louis. And
Oh, okay.
whenever I felt a little down or discouraged, I would look at them just praising God and dancing for the Lord, and it made me happy. And so when I looked at my title, Down Deep in My Soul, doesn't this cover, as you're looking at it, Michael, doesn't it really depict that they are leaning all the way back down? Like it's down
Yes.
deep in their soul. So it's
Yes, it
very
does.
appropriate for this book.
It really does. It really does. And by hearing the book so far, it is sound very interesting, something I will check out. And I know my listeners will check it out as well. Now, you have anything else you'd like to say about the books? Is this your current book that you just released?
Yes, this is the most current book and there's a book that I edited that's coming out in the fall of this coming year as well. So this has been a big publishing year for me.
Well, since you just mentioned that anyway, what made you decide to actually go ahead and start writing books?
Um, when I think it's a natural gift, although I must say that from my high school years on, we were taught, I guess in preparation, St. Alphonsus Liguori, the founder of the Redemptorists, was a writer himself. He wrote many, many books. So through my high school training on, we were trained to write well, to
Hmm.
really write two things, to write and to speak well. So I say part of it is natural and it's an interest of mine to write, to express myself. But in other ways, I have to give credit. I was trained very well to write and uh, to really express myself and to articulate myself in both the written and oral communication. I used to laugh because we didn't like it in college, but I had an English teacher. She would say, "Oh, such a fine job," and then she would write. You would think, "Okay, well, I did a good job on it." Then she
Hmm.
would write some other comments and say, "Write big red letters, redo." So we had to rewrite papers. If it wasn't just right, we had to we hated doing that. But I have to say, I thank her right now. I thank my high school teachers, my college teachers that trained me to write well. So that's why I write books, because it's an interest and I've been trained to write.
Hmm. That makes sense. And that's good that you get to express your teachings in the church with your books and other people who might wonder how things go as well.
Hmm.
What do you want individuals to understand about the Catholic Church and its teachings?
That's a very, very broad question, Michael. But I think I would go with what Pope Francis said. You know, his first encyclical, which encyclical is a uh, his writing to express a concern for something. And his first encyclical was basically, I would say, two-thirds of his encyclical was about preaching and experiencing the gospel anew. It was titled "The Joy of the Gospel." And what he wanted the Catholic Church to become and to be about is that there is joy in serving the Lord. There's joy in knowing Jesus. There is joy in God's word. And that we
Mhm.
must not only just experience it for ourselves, but we must share that joy. We must emulate who Jesus was and to invite people to have a close encounter with Jesus, especially he reached out to those on the peripheries, the poor. So I would say the Catholic Church, as it's being known for and what he is promoting, is that we have to, first of all, be transparent, be open, be honest, tell the truth, and also to witness to God's good news. I love two things he said in his, well, three things that he said in his early pontificate. One, when he talked about mercy, he says, there is absolutely no one who can escape God's mercy. So, in other words, God has mercy on us all. God loves us. God forgives us. That's what the Catholic Church is called to teach, and that's what he's promoting. That's
Mhm.
one. He also says that for you priests and you preachers out there, you should smell like your sheep. In other words, if you're a shepherd, you should be so close with the people, with their cares and their concerns, so close to them that you start to smell like them. And
Mhm.
then the third one I really like that he says, when you go to church, you should not leave church looking like you just come from a funeral.
Mhm.
So in other words, have some joy. That there should be some preaching going on that's going to make you feel good. Michael Holmes, you came to meet me through preaching and revival, and folks
Correct.
were out of that church happy. That's what it's about, for people to receive God's word that's going to touch them, heal them, encourage them to keep on keeping on.
Yes, that is true. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's what I want people to understand about the teachings of the Catholic Church. I'm not here to talk about theology or dogma. It's just three simple things that I took from our Pope. And that's what I think represents best the Catholic Church.
Well, that was well put, and I like how you had to say that as well. That is right. I did meet you at my church from the revival as well, and you did an amazing job doing that. Well, since you was at my church being for the revival, I know you go and speak other places as well. So when you went to like other places to go speak, when you went to other places to go ahead and speak, in other words, what you thought about the other locations you went and spoke that you had opportunities to go speak at?
Every place that I go is a blessing. Every place that I'm called to preach is unique. No two places are the same. I don't try to preach in a cookie cutter fashion. I've got my text or my manuscript to proclaim God's word. Yes, I may have the same sermon, but what I would do is I would try to always make it personal to that community. For instance, I would learn what is one of their favorite hangout places, or what's the food, what's the name of the food, what's the music you listen
Mhm.
to, what's the well-known area? Like one place I was preaching, there's this nightclub that everybody loves to hang out at, but the
Mhm.
priest should know about that. So somehow I was able to incorporate it in my sermon, and they all laughed. How do you know about that place? You haven't even been here, you know. So to make them know I'm one with you, even though I'm from a different place or culture or experience, I come to bring the word custom made for you.
I do like that. And also, I like how you would be relatable to your audience.
Yes, that's what we should be. Why preach if you're not going to relate?
That is definitely true. Well, we have come down to the end of this interview. One question I want to know is at the end is what are some things you would like to accomplish next right now?
As you know, I like writing. If it's something that I would like to accomplish next, it's the I've been working for years, it's in my mind at least, on my family genealogy book. And so
Hmm.
I'm not going to go into a lot of details because you can wait. You can invite me back to talk about that book once it comes out. So I've already got two more interviews with you because I got two more books coming out. So when I write my family book, it's a very, very interesting history. I can go back, not so far on my African ancestry, but my European ancestry, because it's well documented. Unfortunately, all we have is the oral tradition with our African roots, and it's only a few generations back. But in my European side of my family, I can go back 10 generations. So very excited about telling that story at some point. So I'll just leave it at that.
Oh no, no, that's good. That's really interesting. Um, I'm glad you see like you have some things you want to accomplish next in your career because that's really good. It's always good to keep things going all the
Yeah,
time, basically.
I often say that's going to be my last book because I mean it takes a lot out of you. You write a book, you know, and when I was hearing, I was talking to different writers. I went to a book reading recently and heard the authors say that they thought that they had to have these long swaths of time to write, and that's pretty much the way I do it. I would lock
Mhm.
myself up and not talk to anybody and just focus. But it says when things come to you, you write even if you're on a plane or if you're just sitting in a park or something. You just anytime something comes to you, you
Mhm.
should be writing. So I'm gonna try to do that. I need to do that because there's a lot of different things that come up, and I just say, "Oh, I'll try. I'll remember that when I sit down." On the computer. And typically we don't. So I need to start, taking notes whenever I can. So I ask your prayers and the prayers of your viewers because unlike my other books, I had some type of goal and I already had a publisher that wanted me to get the book out. In this case, I don't have a publisher and I don't, so that's not I don't have an impetus, but I do have one of the blessings of my life in writing is that I'm a part of a writing accountability group. We
Mm,
meet every other month for about an hour, and we have a Zoom meeting and we talk about our writing, and we help to read each other's writings and we help edit each other's writings. So
mhm,
it's been really a blessing for me to have Greg and Vince. Those are my two writing partners, and we talk every other month, as I said, and we encourage each other. So they know about my task of writing, and they're almost laughing because every time I says, "Well, I have some of the books there, but I haven't started all my research," and so they're getting them. Start writing, start researching, do what you have to do. So
mhm. Well, I like how you explain that, and I like how you say how you do your writing. When you mention like you gonna start ahead and might start writing little by little, if you say you're at a park or whatever. With my podcast, I actually do that. When something comes in my head, I would just go ahead and just jot it down in my phone. I like that. It just takes out
mhm,
my brain. So
mhm.
that'll be something that I hope you will look into going forward.
Yeah, that's what even this author said. Just write it in. Actually, I do that. In fact, in my notes section of my iPhone, I have the title of my book. And I write different things in there. I put it under that heading if I
Mhm,
get inspired. So um, that's wonderful. That's a great approach to have to writing, just to take notes wherever you are. So.
mhm.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I enjoy interviewing you today, Father Maurice Nutt. Before we go, can you let my listeners know how they can contact you and also the books that you have out right now, how they can actually get a copy of it?
We're going to make this really simple for your listeners. My name is Maurice, Maurice, J as in Joseph, Nutt, N as in Nancy, Utt. Just put that in Amazon.com and all my books will come up. So that's a way of getting those. And as far as reaching me, you can go to my website. It's www.father spell out the word father, mauricejnutt.com. Again, that's www.father spelled out, mauricejnutt.com. And it says how to reach me or how to book me. Even if you're not booking me, you have a question, there is a form you fill out and I will receive it and I'll respond to you.
Well, thank you. I like how you just list your contact information. And once again, Father Maurice Nutt, thank you for being a guest on Consulting Between Friends podcast.
It has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael Holmes. And I have had a great time consulting with you, my friend.
Thank you. After a short break, we will return. We are back. In closing, I hope the information about spirituality from priest Maurice J. Nutt was useful. Father Maurice explained why he enjoys his profession and what motivates him to continue his life work. Father Maurice gave the listeners wise wisdom to consider in life. He also gave knowledge about both books he published. The books are Thea Bowman, Faithful and Free, and Down Deep in My Soul, an African American Catholic Theologic of Preaching. I hope the listeners can support Father Maurice J. Nutt books and future projects. I'm glad I had the opportunity to interview Father Maurice J. Nutt and learn about his life. One last thing, remember to support local businesses, and spiritual learning can only benefit you if you're walking in the faith. Thank you for listening to Consulting Between Friends. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, as well other platforms that are available. So like and subscribe. Need to contact us and leave us a comment? You can find us on Instagram at Consulting the letter B Friends. Once again, Consulting B Friends. An email address is consulting the letter B friends at gmail.com. Once again, consulting B friends at gmail.com. Consulting Between Friends now has a merch online store called Podcast Merch Headquarters. This is where you can buy merch to show your support for the podcast. Some items to choose from are t-shirts, tumblers, and hoodies, as well many other things I know you will appreciate. So take the time to review the items in the store. The link will be available in the podcast notes under Podcast Merch Headquarters. Consulting Between Friends appreciates the constant support. It means a lot. If you would like to support the podcast more, you can find me on Patreon at Consulting Be Friends. Once again, at Consulting Be Friends. The link will be in the description. Consulting Between Friends now has a way for listeners to share their feedback about the podcast. The listeners can now share their feedback on Discord. The link will be available in the podcast notes and on the podcast website. Thanks again for the support. If you have an extra minute, it would be greatly appreciated if you could answer a few questions regarding the quality of the podcast. The link will be in the description. Consulting Between Friends. Thanks to everyone for making this possible. The host, Michael Holmes Jr. The producer and content creator, Michael Holmes Jr. The artwork cover, Michael Holmes Jr. Original music, a DJ named Slash. Special guest, Father Maurice J. Nutt. Ordained priest and author. Published books. Thea Bobin, Faithful and Free. Down Deep in My Soul, an African American Catholic theologic of preaching. Content distributor, My Producer Podcasts.